The Violin Man of White Rock Lake. On the outskirts of Dallas, nestled near the edges of White Rock Lake, there was an old, forgotten cabin deep in the forest. The place had been abandoned for years, and most people in town avoided it, especially after a strange local legend began circulating about the Violin Man. The story went like this. If you ventured too far into the forest at night and heard a faint violin melody, it was already too late. You'd never make it out. The Violin Man would find you, and you'd disappear, leaving nothing but an eerie silence in your wake. One chilly fall evening, two best friends, Jace and Milo, decided to test their courage by exploring the woods. Both 14, they were old enough to scoff at ghost stories and young enough to still get spooked by them. Armed with only their flashlights and a sense of adventure, they ventured into the forest, determined to find the old cabin. The forest felt like it was holding its breath, as if watching them, waiting. The deeper they went, the thicker the trees grew, blocking out the moonlight until only the weak beams of their flashlights lit their way. They whispered nervously, joking about the ghost stories to hide their fear. Finally, they found it. The cabin. It was dilapidated, with broken windows and an uneven roof. Creeping vines wrapped around its structure like skeletal hands. Jace stepped closer, but Milo hesitated, a growing unease spreading through him. "Maybe we should head back," Milo whispered. Before Jace could answer, a faint sound drifted through the air, a slow, haunting melody. A violin. The boys froze. The eerie sound was coming from somewhere deep in the forest, weaving through the trees like a siren's call. The melody was strange and sorrowful, each note echoing off the still lake. Milo grabbed Jace's arm, his eyes wide with terror. "Did you hear that?" But Jace, too stubborn to admit he was scared, shook him off. "It's probably just someone playing music near the lake." But the melody grew louder, as if it were moving closer. Suddenly, Jace's flashlight flickered, and then died. Milo's did the same, plunging them into darkness. They could hear the violin louder now, echoing through the trees, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Panicked, they scrambled back through the forest, desperate to find their way to the main trail. But every turn led them deeper into the woods. The violin's tune became frenzied, each note twisting in their minds, filling them with a dreadful certainty that something was chasing them. "Run!" Jace screamed, breaking into a sprint. Milo was right behind him, but he kept stumbling, his lungs burning, his heart pounding in his chest. Finally, as the violin grew unbearably loud, they burst through a clearing and froze. Standing in front of them was a figure, cloaked in shadows, holding a violin. His eyes were hollow, empty as the night sky, and his mouth twisted into a wicked grin as he lifted his bow. With one final sinister note, he brought the violin's bow down, and everything went dark. The next morning, hikers found only 2 flashlights and a pair of sneakers near the cabin, just steps away from the lake's edge. There was no sign of the boys, only the faint, lingering sound of a violin carried on the wind. To this day, people swear that on quiet nights near White Rock Lake, you can hear that